post-lunch session, and I hope the content of this discussion will not only energize and awaken your spirit, but kind of help you step out from here wanting to do a lot more, as most of us have been feeling over this past year and a half, 2 years, since Mukund has led the Probono initiative for India at 75. For India at 75 to really be able to achieve its very audacious goals and ambitions of a developed India, skilled India, an urbanized India, an innovative India, intellectually brilliant India, poverty-ridden India, several ambitious visions. I think the role of corporates is something that has always been at the core of this entire effort. And I recollect when C.K. Prahlad talked about India at 75, when India was celebrating 60 years in New York. He said that somebody has to come there and take leadership that would convene and bring everyone together to really see this change happen. And that time CII and India at 75 was conceived, and it was quite clear that corporate India stood up and said, we will take the leadership, we will bring government, we will bring stakeholders, we will bring civil society, we will create a platform that will enable all of us to work together to really see that transformed India. And I think when we are at this stage today, it's a tremendous tribute to a lot of effort that has gone to actually bring about a consensus just for us to agree that yes, we all need to come together to make this happen. And the journey of actually making it happen begins now and today, I think. Exactly how the whole Pro Bono initiative has shaped up. I think the core essence of what we had tried to do was that if this change had to happen and these audacious goals were to be reached, it was quite clear that changing aspiration of people in India was to participate in that change. And that's when we talked with Taproot Foundation in the US, which is actually an organization that had lent global leadership to this whole concept of pro bono, and understood from them what is it that it would take for corporate employees to come up and give their skilled volunteering time to transform a nation. And we spent a lot of time with them in India talking to corporates, and eventually came out with a report that kind of showed the potential, if we were to put it into monetary terms, of over $10 billion worth of effort, monetization, worth that could come in from corporate India just in pro bono efforts to really transform India over the next now 7 years. And I think that was the inspiration for this journey. There could be no better person than Mukund to lead this effort, given that he himself is so passionate about this, and also represents a brand that has, the Tata brand that has stood for these values, ever since Indian industry, came about. And I want to use this platform to thank you, Mukund, for your exemplary leadership over the previous year, and then to form the advisory group this year. And I'd also like to thank Sanjeev for really taking on the mantle to kind of lead the task force to ensure that we are able to make significant progress on this journey. I would also like to thank Samson and Infosys, which have actually really put a lot of time and effort to help create the IT backend platform Pro Bono, and who are excited and continue to want to support it and kind of see how it can reach out. And I will take his word from where we were in the previous meeting, when he said we need to be involved with 100 million people using this technology platform, trying to change and better India. And I think with all of you here, I think that should be our driving effort. I know we have to think it through. It is a hard process, but our faith and belief is that, if we all come together, this change will definitely happen. And a lot of you have contributed significantly with your time and efforts. And I know that, we are on the right journey, we are on the right path. I think with a good government also now in place, which is looking at how engagement of people can happen. We've talked with the MyGov platform and several other technology-led platforms of the government also to help further this. And I think, we should be able to accelerate the rate at which we can see success.
Rajan, and I must also acknowledge the tremendous contribution Rajan himself has made, I think, in terms of thinking through a lot of the dimensions of India at 75 and the work of the National Committee and the various task forces that have been created under it. And I think pro bono and volunteering are some of the most exciting aspects of what India at 75 is now trying to do. Over the next 14-15 minutes, I'll try and give you a sense of what the task force has done, and also the importance of volunteering for corporate India, and really for all of us in the Tata group, which I'm a part of as well, where a lot of the inspiration we have received has been from the work that has been done by India at 75. I'm going to try and get this presentation up, so lovely. As Rajan was saying, I had the privilege of being asked to chair the India at 75 Pro Bono Task Force, the first task force, which we set up in July of 2013. The task force's mission was to establish the Pro Bono initiative for the corporate sector, to share skills with the social sector. And the larger vision was to see this Pro Bono initiative transition into the national volunteering grid for India. The pro bono opportunity in India, as Rajan mentioned, is possibly one of the largest anywhere in the world, and could easily be estimated at being worth over $10 billion in value by 2022. As part of this task force, we had 29 organizations represented on this slide. It included corporates, non-profits, and intermediaries. I would like to thank all of them, some of them are represented here today, for their outstanding support, and this was really a very, very constructive collaboration. I think seldom do you see the non-profit sector, the corporate sector with such tremendous alignment and meeting of minds, and I think this was a wonderful experience for all of us. And I dare say in the second task force, which Sanjeev now chairs, we will see much of that energy and enthusiasm being translated into activity on the ground. The task force created 4 subgroups, each of which had a specific objective. One looked at designing the communication for pro bono. A second looked at the tools for measuring the value of skilled volunteering. A third subgroup documented some of the global best practices. And a fourth subgroup took responsibility for the creation of the pro bono web portal, which you will see in a few minutes. I'd say one of the choices made by the task force was in the selection of the dandelion as a metaphor for skilled volunteering. And just like the dandelion, hopefully all our volunteering efforts will go a long way and have widespread impact. Similarly, by popular choice, the name chosen for the initiative was Pro Bono Unplugged. And as I mentioned, Samson and the Infosys team will be shortly presenting the work that they've done with the portal. This will be one of the principal modes for communicating the pro bono proposition. One of the outcomes, which I know many of you were interested in, of the work of the task force, particularly in the area of measurement, was that we were able to develop a matrix to calculate the value of volunteering efforts. And all of us were delighted when in June of 2014, the government in fact included volunteering activities by corporate employees as a permissible activity under the mandatory corporate social responsibility or CSR spending norms that were prescribed under the Companies Act of 2013. Of course, now the next stage is to await the Corporate Affairs Ministry's decision on how precisely the pro bono work will be valued and what element of contribution that will be seen to be making to the CSR spends that corporates are required to make. Let me dwell now a little bit on the importance of corporate volunteering. Studies have suggested that in India, only 10% of the workforce feels truly engaged in the workplace, while 79% of business leaders really rate retention and engagement as being urgent or important issues for them. And in the case of millennials, which is now becoming a very important demographic segment in India, 61% would consider a company's commitment to the community when making a job decision. But 75% of millennials feel that businesses are not helping to improve society and are instead focused on meeting short-term financial goals and their own agenda rather than helping to improve societal conditions. Juxtaposed with these statistics, another data point would suggest that 90% of Fortune 500 company HR managers are identifying volunteering as a very effective way to develop leadership skills. So we are seeing that there is a growing desire for a variety of these reasons for companies to be seen to be more committed to giving back to society, and particularly an increasing emphasis on volunteering at the workplace. So what are some of the benefits that we see from volunteering? Well, for communities, it includes providing skilled and talented volunteer resources and creating a positive social impact. Some of the benefits for companies and for employees would include allowing employees to expand their skill sets, building upon their strengths, connecting with the community, increasing, this relates back to some of the data points earlier, employee job satisfaction and morale, respect for the company, respect for the concept of service and for the community, supporting employee loyalty, creating team building opportunities, enhancing cross-department and management interaction, reducing employee turnover, and finally building brand awareness for the corporate and creating trust and loyalty among consumers and shareholders. So volunteering within the Tata Group has all of this foregoing logic built into it. And the volunteering program at Tata really aims to leverage the power of the collective, and we aim to try and create a strong ecosystem that will encourage the culture of volunteering. To support this, we launched a group-wide volunteering initiative. As I mentioned, a lot of the inspiration for this came from the work that India at 75 is trying to do to focus on volunteering in pro bono. We launched this on the 3rd of March, which is the birth anniversary of our founder. Last year was the 175th birth anniversary. We branded the initiative, a bit like Pro Bono Unplugged, we branded it Tata Engage, and we introduced 3 volunteering opportunity formats. Some of these have been extended not just to our workforce, but also the families and to retired Tata professionals. The first of these, which is the Tata Volunteering Week, this was, as I mentioned, launched on Founders Day in March 2014. We offered volunteering opportunities done on company time, I should stress, focused on women and children. And in the first volunteering week, we have an employee base of close to 600,000 people. Over 25,000 colleagues from across 150 Tata companies across the world participated in the program and gave freely of their time. The second edition, and we felt there needed to be periodic volunteering weeks when people had this opportunity to step out on office time and to work with non-profits of their choice. The second volunteering week was held on the International Day of Charity, which is the 5th of September. And in the process of organizing this, the Tata Engage team, the number of participants grew to over 55,000 volunteers. And just to give you a sense of the kinds of issues people engaged with, well, it was everything from cleaning beaches after the Ganpati rituals in Mumbai, to working with underprivileged children, hospitals and so on across the world, from India to China to the United States, you name it. To support this execution, we created volunteering opportunities in partnership with non-profits, panchayats, schools, hospitals, other partners. We launched an online platform for engagement to enable employees to sign up and select volunteering opportunities from the database. The team also undertook extensive promotions on our intranet and through social media and various events. And we organized a group-wide recognition program so that strong efforts in this area could be recognized. We created a mechanism then to capture feedback from our volunteers and to track the impact of volunteering activities. And I think the point to note here is 99% of the responses suggest that people have actually felt a continued desire to volunteer. And this is something I think with India at 75, we're very keen to take on board this learning that once people have a taste of volunteering, they want to do more of it. So you just need to give them that channel to express themselves, to express their passion, and then let their interests really flower and bloom. We use the Probono Task Force's calculator on valuing the time of our colleagues and managers. Now, this is not very scientific, so I don't want to stress this too much, but it was a first start at looking at what some of this time could have implied in terms of a monetary value. And we figured that possibly across the 55,000 odd volunteers we have, the contribution that has been made could be valued possibly, and this is relatively conservative, somewhere in the region of 28 crores thus far. But this is something we want to now periodically set targets and improve as we go forward. The Pro Engage program is then taking volunteering to the next dimension, which is having focus teams, partly on company time, partly on their personal time, engage for longer durations, not just an episodic event like a volunteering week, but for a longer period of time with the non-profit sector. So it could be helping a non-profit developing a marketing plan, putting together an MIS software package for a hospital and the like. We have launched this program on International Volunteer Day, December 5th. And in the first phase, we have signed up over 100 skill-based projects across different cities, which several hundred Tata volunteers have committed to undertake and deliver. The last format that we have in the volunteering program is called Engage Plus. And here we want to give sabbaticals to our employees to take time off, 6 months to a year, to actually work with pre-approved non-profits. And under this program, colleagues could work, for instance, on issues such as long-term rehabilitation of disaster-affected communities. Our program leader in Uttarakhand, for instance, is one example of a resource that we have dedicated to that state, who continues to be located there and works with the local community and some of the non-profits that we are supporting. Again, you can see a time value that we attributed to the work that our volunteers have done in these states, Uttarakhand and Jammu and Kashmir. So to recap, 3 kinds of formats: the episodic volunteering weeks, the Pro Engage, where we work for 3 to 6 months with non-profits on company time and personal time, and Engage Plus, where companies are allowing employees to take sabbaticals and go off for significantly long durations, 6 months to a year, and allowing them to contribute to whatever really takes their passion. We'd like it to really stretch very different quarters. The relevance of volunteering to Tata is, and I'm nearing the end of my presentation now, is perhaps best explained by some of our leaders in their own words. So I have 2 short videos I'd like to play for you. The first you can see on the screen is TV Narendran, the managing director of Tata Steel, one of our companies with a very long and proud history of giving back to society, and he will be talking about their volunteering initiatives.
This group and this company was founded on the philosophy that we need to give back to society more than what we take from it. And all of us work for this company largely because that's one of the founding values of this company. But the question we need to ask ourselves as employees of this company is, what is it that we are doing as individuals to contribute to this cause? What is it that we are doing as individuals to commit our time for the good of society? What is it that we are doing to give back to society more than what we take from it? It's far easier to write a check than to commit time. And what I would urge all of you to do is to commit some time to do some good to society. As an organization, we have to create the platform to help you do that. And I think the team in Tata Steel has helped create that platform. And the Tata Steel team is launching the Tata Steel volunteering system, and that will help you volunteer for the different causes that Tata Steel is supporting. So as an organization, we are creating the platform which helps you to volunteer. And as an individual, I would like to see all of you participate in it. I would like to see all of you do what the founder has asked us to do, give back to society, more importantly from it.
So you have Narendran talking about the importance of volunteering in the Tata Steel system. I'll end with a short clip of our chairman, Mr. Cyrus Mistry, again explaining the importance of volunteering in the Tata system. If I can get the video.
This program that's been launched would be critical to the experience of every Tata employee. I think the potential for us to add value to society by bringing managerial experience to problems and finding solutions would be immense. I believe the fulfillment that each employee will achieve will be even better.
So here you hear Mr. Mistry talking about the importance personally for our own personal development and not just what the corporate seeks to do in the community. So really, I'd like to once again thank Rajan and the team at India at 75. I think it is a lot of the thinking and inspiration that has gone into all the work that's being done now on volunteering and on pro bono that has also encouraged all of us at Tata to really embrace this as a very important theme, something that is very meaningful in a multiple range of ways, not just what we're able to contribute to communities, but how we are able to personally evolve and develop as individuals. So my congratulations to the team and my thanks to all my fellow members of the task force who are here for the terrific support and for bringing us to where we are. I think there's lots more that now we need to work on, and the baton has been passed on to Sanjeev, who's now going to talk to you about some of his plans going forward. Thank you very much.
Hi, good afternoon everyone. Thanks Rajan, thanks Mukund for setting the context. I think it has been a really privilege for me. I have been associated with the India at 75 Pro Bono Task Force for last 18 months. And every meeting has been, I would say, not only exciting, invigorating, but in our corporate lives we get so much of stress. I used to relieve the stress when I used to be in these meetings. So I think the first message what Cyrus Mistry said resonated very well. We can talk pro bono voluntarily, but end of the day it makes us individuals as a better human being, as a better leader, as a better person, and that's my appeal to all of you. It is a personal experience that we all go through, and the way I call pro bono is, I know we talk about giving back to society, but I call pro bono as paying forward. We have to really pay in advance what we need to leave for our children and grandchildren behind. And I think that's the way I look at pro bono in phase 2 of the journey that we are taking. We are really looking at scaling it up. I think a great foundation has been laid by the Task Force 1 by defining the pro bono unplugged, having a platform, and thanks to Infosys, which Samson will demonstrate shortly. I think a lot of groundwork has been done. We have a portal, we have the ecosystem of some NGO partners, some corporates, some professionals, and we have the lofty goals, the big, hairy, audacious goals set by Dr. Prahlad for us, which we need to achieve by 2022. So I think we have the entire thing with us, and we need to now just scale up and meet those goals. So what I would really request is a lot of passion, a lot of support from all the entities in the ecosystem as we go ahead in this journey. I just want to take a minute to explain Dandelion, as our logo, and I think Mukund did touch upon it. So Dandelion is, it basically stands for spreading the goodness, and Dandelion is actually a flower, and the seeds of Dandelion, they fly away with the air, and wherever they land, they start a new life. So I think that's what we expect Pro Bono to represent. I think we expect a lot of goodwill to be generated and then pass it on And that's how I think if we have to reach 1.2 billion active members one day in this portal that we are creating, I think we just need everyone to be really spreading the goodwill so that like the tag billion, and that's what I think we are expecting from this initiative. So what we will be doing is we have identified in the first few months about 50 NGO partners and about 50 corporates, just as a ballpark number, which we will focus on in 2015, and really to have at least 100 projects getting live on the portal. So we kind of do the pilot and test whatever has been done, and start measuring what we call the economic impact that I think Mr. Rajan shared with us. Tata has started doing it. That's terrific. So we want more and more corporates to be doing this. So we'll reach out to many corporates. Please continue to refer us to your colleagues, friends who can really come on this portal and really help us. While Probono is going to be focused on really helping get professional support from corporates to build capacity for the NGOs, that's the primary intent. But I would like to still request the corporates, if they want to come on board even for volunteering activities, like Mr. Rajan mentioned, we have a company in platform which is linked to the India at 75 initiative. I will be very happy to do that as well. So we just want to make sure that we are getting corporates onto the bandwagon of India at 75, so we are able to really help get a lot of supply from the corporates with the professional expertise they have to meet the demands that are going to be created by the NGO partners that we have. So looking forward to working with all of you and really, in investing in paying forward for the society as we go ahead in 2015. Thank you so much. I now request Samson to showcase the portal and talk about the Infosys experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Sanjeev. Infosys has been part of this journey right from day zero. It's been an absolute privilege to be part of the journey. I believe we have the rare opportunity of really making a huge impact to the country through this initiative, and I think for the kind of scale and complexity, I think technology is a very important key to making this happen. We've developed this platform over the last 18 months. It's gone through several iterations, and we will show it to you. My colleague Shan is here, and he'll walk you through this. What this is really an ecosystem of projects for volunteering and an ecosystem of volunteers. And this platform is envisioned to bring both the supply and the demand side of this piece together. The platform has been built state of art. It's highly scalable. It can scale to about, it can scale to about 100 million right now. It can scale to 1 billion. It can scale to anything that anybody can envision. It's got state-of-the-art analytics built into it and a whole bunch of other stuff. So why don't we deep dive straight into it? And Shan, my colleague, has been the architect and builder of this platform. So why don't I hand it over to you, Shan, and walk us through the platform.
So before we get into the actual seeing the platform, I just want to give a brief overview of what is this platform about, what are the various stakeholders, so that we all understand, and then we can go and see the live site which is being up and running. So before I give you an overview, I mean, I've been associated with this project for last 18 months, and it's been an absolute privilege, and the team is excited about how the impact it can create for a country like us. So it's been a good learning journey for us as well, and we're all excited to be part of this. So if you see this Probono platform, as you see, it is primarily a collaboration platform which connects various stakeholders within the pro bono volunteering network. So if you see the different stakeholders we have, it's primarily the non-profits, which is creating the demand side, where they can go and register themselves and they can get validated with the guide star number, and also they can create projects across various categories in terms of the skill set they need, and they can put it in the marketplace, like a marketplace kind of scenario where they can put it out there. And again, from a supply side, if you see the really corporate employees where it is connecting, they can look at the list of projects. If I am a corporate employee, if my core skill set is digital marketing, let's say, so I can go ahead and create my profile in the platform with my expertise, and I can say that I want to volunteer for this particular area of expertise. So I can look at the platform automatically matches the skill set of the employees, and also it provides the employees the list of projects which are there, which they can contribute towards. So this is on the supply side. So the employees can go and look at the various projects. They can also do a search in terms of their skill set area, or in terms of the specific location. If I'm based out of Bangalore, I can look at projects in this particular digital marketing in Bangalore area where people are looking for volunteering. Then I can go ahead and apply for those projects. And then the non-profits have an opportunity to look at various applicants, and they can do an offline conversation as well, and then they can select the applicants based on their who is meeting their requirements in terms of the amount of effort required, the duration of the projects, and so on and so forth. And finally, they can award the project to the volunteers. Again, there is a third important stakeholders because it's a corporate pro bono. There's a corporate CSR head has a role to play. They have an ability to popularize pro bono work within their organization. They also have a dashboard of projects running across their organizations, people volunteering for the pro bono, and also they can look at the value of the projects which is being done through the pro bono work. So that is really the third key player within the platform. So this is what I explained about the non-profits. So they can go ahead and register. They can create their own profile on the cause they are doing work for, and then they can create the project skill-based projects for whatever they need help for. And finally, once the volunteer provide applications, once they apply for those various projects, they have an opportunity to view the list of applications. They can see who all applied for it. They can do an offline conversation, and also they can award the projects to that. So when they award, so all these things are notifications or enabled through the platform, so people automatically get notified when they apply for a project and when they are awarded, and so on and so forth. And finally, the non-profits have an option to update the status of the projects, whether it is in progress or whether it is completed, and also they can put an effort in terms of how many hours has been spent for this particular project, with the feedback and the rating for that particular project, whether they are happy or how the overall experience has been, kind of thing. So these are the primary things what a non-profit can do. Similarly, corporate employees, as I explained, they can go out and create their profile with their skills. They can also search for the projects in their depending on the domain area or depending on the location, and also they can view the various project details and apply for those projects as well. And finally, once the non-profits award the projects, they can go ahead and execute. Obviously, that is an offline process where they execute the project, and finally the project gets closed by the non-profits. And third is the corporate CSR head. As I said, we have an economy value creator built within the platform, which will create a value for each of the projects getting executed through this platform. And the corporate CSR head has a visibility and a dashboard for projects across the organization, and also they can see the value of the projects being done for their organization. So this is the conceptual of the economy value creator. Again, this is a basic version which we have up and running, and it can evolve over a period of time as more and more people start using the platform. We get feedbacks, we will iterate on this, and we will improve the overall how this calculator works. So that is the overview. Given this context, I would like to quickly show you the website, and we will see what each of the roles which we seen, what they can do within the platform. Okay, so first I will show you so I logged in as a non-profit organization called RISTI. So after I create the profile, I can once I log in, this is the home page, the Probono landing page for the non-corporates. So it provides details on how it works for each of the roles which we talked about. Once you click here, it will show you what it means for non-profits, what are the things they can do. Similarly for corporate employees and corporate CSR heads. Similarly, it provides a list of open projects which are created by this particular non-profit which they created, so that we can go and see the details of these projects as well. And they have an ability to launch a project. As a non-profit, I can go ahead and create a project where I can enter details of the project, the functional area required, the project type, and also the description, and also an estimated duration, what this project required. And similarly, the location and the city and the start date, end date, and also the specific timings. Some projects may demand a specific timings of work, so probably over the weekend or so on and so forth. So those kind of details we can create, and they can create a project with this particular details. So once they create a project, this project will be available in the portal. Then the corporate employees can see the details of the project and they can start applying. So for the non-profit, again, once they create the project, they can go and see the list of active projects, and they also can see the list of unassigned projects. For example, these are the projects which are created by the non-profit, right? So it also provides the number of applicants for each of these projects. The non-profit can review the applications. Basically, once they click into this review applications, they can go and see the details of that, who are all the applicants who has applied for this particular project, right? So currently, this is a test data we created, so there is one applicant for this project, but there are many people applying. So they can review the list of applicants as well. And the non-profit can have an offline conversation in terms of how the skills are matching. They can do that process is pretty much offline. And finally, once they see that this particular person is being the best person for executing this project, they can go ahead and assign this particular project to this person, right? So then he will get a notification and the whole process gets kicked off. So this is primarily the view of non-profit, what are the things they can do in the system. So on the supply side, so now how things are going to look now. So I logged in with my ID, which I registered, and then once I log in, then I can again see a list of open projects here, right, which are still open. Basically, that means it is not yet assigned to anybody, and the people can view and apply the details of the project. So once I also have an option to find the projects based on the functional area. I can choose a functional area. I can select a state or a city, and then I can search for the list of open project. Then it will provide me the search results based on my search criteria as well, so that I can quickly find out what are the areas I want to contribute. So once I do a search, and then I can go and look into the details of the project. Sorry, there is a little bit of internet connection, so here. So yeah, I can see once I view the list of projects, I can go and click into the details, and then I look at the details of the project in terms of what is the functional area, and what are the details of the work, and also the number of hours required to work on this project, and all the details which the non-profit has entered. So then I can apply for this. If this is matching or this is the area which I want to contribute, I can go ahead and apply for this project. And as an individual, as a corporate employee, I also have a way. If I click on my projects, I have an option to see list of active projects which I have been involved, and list of completed projects which I have done so far across the thing. So that option is also there as well. So as I said, all the notification mechanisms are all enabled. So when I apply for a project, I will get a mail saying that this is the project you applied for. This is the you click on this link to activate. So there is some kind of validation happening over there in terms of people really wanted to apply, and those kind of things. So all the mails and notifications, all those things have been enabled for the corporate employees. So So that is really the employee side of view. And the third and the final one was the corporate CSR head. Again, as you see, once the corporate CSR logs in, he will get the same view in terms of the landing page and the list of open projects. And also the CSR can look at all the completed projects. These are really the projects which are really completed by across people within the company as well. And and also the ratings and so all those details the CSR can see. And also finally the economy value created. So it provides for each of the projects what is the value it assigns based on the number of effort has been put in that, and also the number of years of experience, people who have worked on this project, what is the years of experience. Based on that there is a value created, and the CSR can get the complete value of the projects done across their organization as well. So this is primarily the core of the platform, and there are other functionalities as well in terms of there are global best practices which are there in the system, which people across the world, all the companies who are done the pro bono work, what are the key best practices has been uploaded into the system. There is also collaboration mechanism which is not yet enabled, but so those are the additional functionalities which are there in the system as well. So that's about the overview of the platform, and if you have any questions, we can take now or we can do it later.
What is the URL? What is the URL? You didn't tell us.
So, yeah, so URL you can see in the browser, but obviously we will publish it as well as part of our the adoption rollout thing. So people need to be. So it is primarily the India@Scientify.in is the core URL, and we have built the site. It is nvg.india@scientify.in.
I think we have built the site out now, and it's tagged onto the India@75 site. But I think when we formally launch it, we'll put it under a separate URL, which will be announced shortly.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you, speakers. May I request panelists for the next session to please come on the dais. Mr. Sharad Sahai from iVolunteer, Mr. Vishal Talreja from Emerging Foundation, and Mr. Dhaval Urani. Please.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, CII, for having me here to chair this session, and I hope all of you find it interesting. We try to stick to the timeline as well. I'd like to quickly introduce the panelists. To my right, we have Rajshri Natarajan, who is the COO at Cognizant Foundation. And I think recently has moved from the bad for-profit world to the non-profit world. 18 years on the business side and 4 months now on the foundation side. I'm sure we're going to grill you on that later. Shalad, with whom I've had the opportunity to work with during the task force days, the founder of iVolunteer, a social enterprise which essentially facilitates high-impact volunteering for corporate entities. On my far left is Dhaval Urani, who till recently was the CEO at Give India, I think one of the largest platforms which facilitate employee payroll giving programs across the country. On my left is Vishal Talreja, and founder of this very prolific organization called Dream a Dream, who serves on the board of Unlimited India, and someone told me that he's the Amitabh Bachchan of the NPO world. And with that, I think we'll just very quickly jump in. Shalabh, I think I'm going to start with you. There's a lot, we've been hearing about Probono, the good part of the last 2 hours that we've been working on it. What has been the iVolunteer experience? And I think iVolunteer facilitates both the kind of volunteering that we've been talking about here, whether it's been Count Me In or Unplugged.
So I'm the first one being grilled over here. But yeah, our experience has been pretty encouraging actually. So we started with corporate volunteering almost about 7 years back. And the first couple of instances were more about the Count Me In kind of volunteering. But I think, and lesser number of corporates that were participating in it. But over the last 3 to 4 years, we've seen a large number of both multinational companies as well as Indian companies taking an interest in volunteering. There's been a lot of discussion that has been around pro bono volunteering as well. I think it's a common challenge that both companies, non-profits as well as individual volunteers face when it comes to any form of skill-based volunteering. That is, the capacity of the NGOs to utilize the volunteers is, I think, limited. The experience is limited on both sides. At the same time, professionals who are coming in, who are representing companies, also do not understand the nuances of how the non-profit world works. So I think, to a large degree, our role has been in trying to build up the capacities on both sides of the spectrum to make sure that they come to a level where they can, at a talking level first and then at a working level next. It's been a long and challenging journey, is what I would say. What I've also realized is that when we began, we tried kind of taking off some models that are globally there, from example, from Tata Foundation and from scores of other kind of such models that exist in the Western countries. But we quickly realized that the Indian cultural setup and the work setup is way different. And so the way we got to treat volunteering, professional volunteering, and pro bono volunteering has to have its own Indian ethos. I would say it's easy to run it in a very automated fashion in the West, but out here it takes a lot of efforts. So we've got partnerships with a couple of companies, Godrej, we've been sitting over here, and obviously we've learned through the partnership that it's kind of it takes a lot of efforts to make it happen. It's not.
So Rajshri, I mean, just picking up from where what Shalabh has been saying, volunteering is very aspirational in the West. And I've always been told by my founder that, given the demographics in India, it should be very easy for you to ramp up volunteers. Going by the Tata example, we see those huge numbers which they've gotten hold. Now, I also know that Cognizant runs a bunch of programs. And so essentially my question is, what are the factors that, typically that the foundation looks when you're launching employee, volunteering programs? What is the best way to engage them? What have been the, sort of best practices that you've kind of brought on board there?
First, let's see what the needs are when it comes to volunteering, because the best practices follows that, right? If you look at it, we have a two-pronged approach. Our outreach program is like 8 years it's running. So outreach is the biggest volunteering program, which is like much talked about. We've got a lot of impact award from SHR also. We have close to 1 in 3 is a active volunteer, of our associates. And of course, we had the advantage because among the IT companies, we still keep claiming that we are a young company that way. And our volunteer base also grew along with the organization size. And when we started, we didn't even anticipate that the 1 in 3 would be a reasonably active volunteer. We had actually very, practically our expectations were very low. Rather than looking at, from outside what are the best practices, I would say we followed kind of a lean startup method. We tried something, if it didn't work, we kind of, reversed it, tried new method and so on. So that's how we kind of picked it up. A couple of things that we at least we realized very early on is that one is, it should have a very meaningful impact to the society, one. And second is, individual employees should also feel that they kind of contributed in a purposeful way. So it's also like an opportunity to volunteer. That kind of taps into their aspirations is equally important. So when we adopted schools, we said, okay, we'll adopt the neighborhood schools. But then we also realized that there's a culture of where people wanted to go back to their nearby villages or suburbs during the weekends. So we equally said that it's a neighborhood schools from our development centers as well as your own hometown schools if you want to adopt it. So kind of quickly brought it in. And similarly, it depends on what they want to volunteer. Some are, they have an aspirations to go and see, they teach science, some are English, some want to do mathematics, and some are very good in arts and sports and chess. So we didn't actually leave out anything. So everybody should get an opportunity to volunteer. Also, we kind of equally made it as a two-pronged role. As much as we wanted to impact the lives on one side, we also wanted to ensure that nobody is left out with a volunteering opportunity. I think this kind of a combination goal and a vision really helped us. And second is, you should actually have it's not volunteering challenge. Many times we talk about volunteering is very difficult to manage. It's actually the flexi pool or the crowdsourcing kind of a challenge. Even in a corporate world, if you have a fixed resource and you do a project, it's something. If you have a flexi pool of resources, it's different. So when it comes to volunteering, we have to understand and appreciate that people keep moving. So you should have a committed layer on the top of that. So that PMO is something that we were very focused and we invested on that to manage that flexible pool, so that when they go to the beneficiaries, they act as a fixed point of contact, but underlying there is a flexible pool of volunteers. So I think that is the second part which made it successful.
Okay, I'm going to come back to you a little bit later, but Vishal, really, I think Dream a Dream is heavily built on volunteering. It's driven by a lot through volunteering efforts. What has been the key takeaway? What has worked, and what, really we're all sitting here today to really see how best we can, plug in these resources for the non-profits. And someone who represents the non-profit here at this table, I think you could just tell us at the meeting what's worked and where you see potential. I wouldn't want to use the word challenge, but potential areas where there needs to be some kind of attention paid to.
All right. Well, I think at the core of it, it worked for Dream a Dream because we didn't look at volunteers as a support system. We looked at volunteers as part of our vision. When we look at our vision, we say we want to build a more sensitive society. And the best way to do that is by creating a network of volunteers, a group of champions across the country who can champion multiple causes, not necessarily only the cause of Dream a Dream. And that vision came about because the founders of Dream a Dream started as volunteers. And within the first 2 years of running Dream a Dream as volunteers, the biggest takeaway for us was that we transformed as human beings. The stereotypes, the mindsets that we had grown up with, the understanding of giving back, charity that we had grown up with completely changed. And we saw the power that volunteering brought into our lives. And then we obviously then tried to convert it into a method which has worked phenomenally well for us. And one concrete example that I can talk about is we've worked very closely with Dell over the last 9 years. The first volunteering experience that we did with Dell was way back in 2002 with a group of 50 employees of Dell spending half a day with a bunch of children. From that one experience, we had 2 volunteers out of those 50 come back and say, we want to do something more. One of them went on to become a very active volunteer, won a Global Community Ambassador Award, the first one to win in India, went on to join the Dream a Dream board as a volunteer representative. Finally, about 4 or 5 years back, decided to move into the social enterprise space, got a bunch of his colleagues, alumni from BITS, alumni from INSEAD, to start a social enterprise consulting nonprofits. Now, if I look at that journey was an amazing journey of someone who lacked awareness to move into a stage of awareness, to moving into action and taking leadership and finally becoming a change maker in society. Now, if you look at that, actually gave us an insight of a journey of a volunteer. If you look at it as a funnel, the first experience that we create for a volunteer is probably say 2,000 volunteers from a company coming in and doing a series of half-a-day engagements, which are fun, which are engaging, which break the ice, which remove the discomfort of volunteering, which gets this person to go back and say, it's not bad, I can enjoy volunteering, I really enjoy it, and I'm not uncomfortable with it. From there, probably about 50% of them come back and say, I want to do more. Maybe I want to do more of these half-a-day engagements. And then maybe 20% of them come back and say, I'm doing this, I'm really enjoying it, I'm able to give time, but I'm not able to see impact. Can I do something where I can create impact? Can I be involved in a more regular program? Can I spend maybe 2 hours every week or 2 hours every 2 weeks? And then it's really 5% of those that then go on to become champions for the cause and become change makers, not just for that organization, but for the larger sector, become champions of CSR within the companies that they work in. So what we realized is that, as Rashri also said, that volunteering is never going to be top priority for any individual. It's probably going to be priority 10 or 11. The earlier we as nonprofits recognize that and leverage that, the better we'll be able to create systems and processes to make that work. With the Dell experience, the first time I met the country head of Dell, he said, I'm going to give you 1 day a year. What are you going to do with it? Now, we could have done half-a-day engagement with children, made him feel good, but we said, no, let's be strategic about this. Let's think a little more strategically. We did a little bit of research. We found out that he's a leadership speaker, very well sought out leadership speaker. We went back to him and we said, you will do a day-long leadership workshop for us for corporate India. So we want 1 day of your time. Because he was a very well-known leadership speaker, we managed to get about 80 people from 30 different companies to attend this day-long workshop, paid. So within one event of this nature, we got him engaged in volunteering. We got about 80 people from corporate India to come in and get to know about Dream and Dream, and we also raised money. So it was a win-win-win for everyone involved. So the second aspect of volunteering was, how do we create strategic initiatives to create win-win-win all across, for the individual, for the non-profit, and for the company. He got us into the Dell funding cycle. The minute we got in, he left Dell, and we were worried that the funding will not come through. He said, I'll introduce you to the next person who's coming in as the country head. We walk into the office, and who do we see? We see a person who's been a mentor at Dream, who's become a country head now. It was an easy sell. So what did volunteering do for us? Create a pool of champions who, as they rose up the corporate ladder, took on leadership positions. They already had a buy-in for Dream and Dream and its cause. Now he became a champion for us. Over the last 7 odd years, we have engaged nearly about 1,000 to 1,500 volunteers from Dell, Bangalore offices, clocking anything from 5,000 to 8,000 hours every year. Last year, Dell came to us saying, you're working with 2 offices of Dell, and the volunteering has really entrenched in there. Every employee is engaged in volunteering, not just with Dream Dream, but with multiple of causes that Dell supports. We have another office which has 3 times the staffing, but very little volunteering. We would like Dream Dream to take that on. So they had understood the system and processes that Dream Dream has built, understood that at the core of it for Dream Dream, it was about engaging the individual and transforming that individual. We managed to engage 1,200 volunteers from the new office within 6 months, and clocking about 5,000 hours of volunteering. So volunteering is an extremely powerful way to create transformation in society and create engagement in society.
Dhaval, and given there's this sense that it's very transactional, right? Through given that the huge USP of giving has been their employee payroll giving programs. I think there's also the other side where there has been volunteering initiatives also, which Give India has incubated or part of their programs. Where do you see is there a perceivable mindset, because people say it's easier to cut a check and then more than volunteering. One is very transactional and just going by what Vishal just told us, volunteering really is really working with that core part of that each individual volunteer. And so then the question comes that transactional versus something like this, and then the question of scale. How do then companies, achieve
Is it possible to achieve that kind of scale of volunteering and yet